All right, so let's start. Welcome to LogiTALK, Stephen, and I'm so happy we're doing it in Munich. And glad to have you as a guest.
Pleasure's mine.
Great. You are one of the industry's outspoken leaders when it comes to air cargo. I have had the pleasure to know you for almost like about 3 years now. We met through Johan. But as much as I've read about you, you've been one of the stalwarts in the industry.
Okay.
So let us go a little back
Yeah.
before we get into the big stuff. Let us understand how did a young Stephen,
Yeah.
and you can talk about your college as well. Where
Yeah.
are you from? Just take me right to the days when you actually started to think what you have to do.
Okay.
So how did a young Stephen get into this whole tough industry of logistics and air cargo?
That's a question I'm still asking myself. Coincidence? It just happened. Like so many young kids, my dream was to become a pilot. Unfortunately, being in Belgium, we did not have a strong national airline with Sabina at that time. So that was a door that got closed when I was 18, and I had no idea what to do. So I started studying for an engineer, which I really did not like that much. Then I said, you know what, let's go a few months working, and then I'll start economics, which is more what I like. Started working in a hotel and had the best time of my life.
In a hotel?
Completely, yeah.
Oh,
Completely changed my mind, and I started hotel management studies.
okay.
I loved it. And at the end of my studies, had different opportunities to go abroad, work for the big chains and everything, and having a good relationship at that time with a girlfriend that didn't want to move abroad.
Right.
So I had something like, okay, what am I going to do? And then I ended up at the airport at the catering department.
Oh, so you started in the hotel industry at what age? What age was-
Well, I was when I did it for a few months, like in between, I was 19.
Okay, so you were doing some part-time stuff.
That was like 3 months. I said, you know what, I'm going to start in September on the economics.
Right.
And it was something in April. I said, let's go a few months, do some work experience, make some money,
Right.
but without any, just to make the money.
Correct.
And but again, I got so passionate about that industry. And I still think that if there's any other industry I still would like to work in, I think it's the hotel business, hospitality. Yeah, absolutely. And then I ended up at the airport at the catering.
So you didn't pursue economics?
No, I completely shifted to hotel management after working in the hotel business.
Wow, so that just changed your entire
absolutely.
trajectory where you wanted to go, and then that small experience just took you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that's also something that I see in my career all the time, that little events completely changed my direction without having a kind of a long-term idea where I want to go to.
Right.
And that's how it started with the handling company, catering. And then I started working at different places. I moved to regional airports. I moved to the handling side.
Okay.
I became a manager in that company.
And this is all in Belgium?
That was in Europe. It was with a handling agent at that time called Belgavia, Avia Partners at that time. And then in 2000, that company had a big strike on the cargo. And they want to make a lot of changes, and they were looking for internally for young managers who were not afraid of a challenge.
Right.
And suddenly I was at the time 27 and promoted to become the cargo warehouse manager. And that's my first experience in cargo, basically.
So from catering to handling, and now promoted to the cargo manager.
Yes.
Which airport was this?
This was in Brussels.
Brussels. Oh, that's a big airport. It's not something small one. So that's 27. You get promoted.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then from there,
I did that for until 2010, and that's when that company decided to scale down cargo, because in the meantime, from cargo warehouse, I became cargo commercial, business development Europe. But then the handling agents started to focus more on the passenger side, less on the cargo side, so that a lot of the functions, especially on the European level, were changed, or they got rid of them. I did a few more months in Liège for them. And then I left the air cargo business. And I had a friend who was working for a marketing company and they had problems with their logistics.
Okay.
They said, we are really good in selling, but we do not get our event activation out anymore. Like on Saturday, we are hours late. The whole logistics goes wrong.
Right.
Are you interested to come and have a look? And it was a really fun company, young people, very dynamic, not far from the airport.
Okay.
And I still remember they had on top of the building, it was 5 floors, a rooftop. And every evening they were having a kind of a party, all young people.
Oh, nice.
And I was standing there, and it was always the aircraft coming over because it was so close to the airport. And at a certain point, the CEO of the company came to me and he said, "You're not going to stay with us." Eh? I said, "Why?" He said, "Every time when there's an aircraft, you're doing this and you're looking at the aircraft. I think your passion is with the aircraft and not with us." And I said, "I think you're right." And then I had a phone call from Brussels Airport.
Okay.
They said, "Steven, we are looking for somebody to help us to build a cargo strategy. We are looking at building a cargo department and a cargo strategy. Are you interested to help us develop that strategy?"
Right.
And I did that, and then I stayed. I became the head of cargo at Brussels Airport.
Okay.
Did that for 10, 11 years, then moved to a digital company, then moved to Abu Dhabi, and then since 2 years, self-employed and doing different projects all over. Yeah, that's a bit the story.
So I can safely say that even you got into logistics through accident.
Yeah, it was never a choice.
Yeah. Most of the people, whom I speak to, especially in the early 2000s and the late 2000s, have entered the industry purely through coincidence, or someone told them that, "Hey, listen, I'm working here. Why don't you come and see what I'm doing?" Why has that been always the case? Why is now you see a lot of young people who want to explicitly get into logistics, but back then it was always through accident. Was it that it was not being promoted in the right way, or there was no awareness?
A good question. I think that our industry is today more interesting because a lot of people, thanks to e-commerce, thanks to the companies like Amazon and all, I think people start understanding logistics. I think what we have to be careful about is when we talk about our industry, it's such a huge industry. I mean, a handling agent in India is different than a forwarding agent in Europe and an airport in North America.
Correct.
And we're still talking about an industry.
Right.
You can be a pilot, but you can be a bookkeeper in a company. So I think that our industry represents basically any possible job, which also makes it really difficult to sell. And when you talk about my previous, the hospitality, the hotel business, very easy to understand.
It's simple to understand.
So I think that our industry is so diverse that we also have to be careful, not talk too much about our industry, because our industry is so many companies and so many different aspects of the air cargo value chain,
right.
That we make it too difficult for people to understand. But I do think that today, because of some examples, and I think there's some really big companies that are really also game changers in our industry. And I think it starts with the integrators today, with all the e-commerce players, that people have an easier image on what the logistics industry could be.
Correct. Yeah, because I even the people whom I meet so often, be it at any part of the world, they always say that at that time there was no awareness because it was very fragmented. It still is, as you rightly said, that there are a lot of stakeholders within this entire ecosystem of logistics.
Yeah.
But of late, since the last few years, many of the stakeholders are coming together, and the awareness about the industry has also improved.
Yeah.
So I think that has what changed, because I have not been in this industry for more than 5 years. After COVID, logistics has become the biggest thing ever, because people realized that if goods cannot move, they will die. If the vaccines don't get to them, it's all logistics behind.
It's bad to say, but it was probably the best marketing campaign for our industry.
Yeah. But then let's focus on your time during the whole cargo strategy. How was it different? Because that's a big responsibility, right? how is it different compared to any other field of logistics? Let's say tomorrow, someone who is listening to this wants to get into the whole cargo side of the business. How is it different? What are the few things which you had to learn over the time? Because it was a brand new job for you as well, right? So you had to learn on the job, just like how they say you have to learn on the job. So how is it different compared to the other side of logistics? How is the cargo side? Basically, you are at the planning stage, right? There are freight forwarders who are going to be benefited with the kind of strategy which you build.
Yeah.
So how is it different?
I think that if you're an airport, you have to really understand the role you have in that value chain, in a sense that you're not touching any cargo. You have all the companies doing it. You become the enabler of the business. So that means that you have to define your role and see what can I do to make life of all those companies easier, better, so that they can grow the business.
Right.
I've always made a comparison is that at that time, most airports were more seeing themselves as real estate providers. We build warehouses, you rent them out, and that's our job.
Right.
And a lot of airports were feeling we don't have really impact and influence on the cargo product. It's the airlines and forwarders, they are taking care of that one. I had the feeling that as an airport, you do have a big impact, and there's a lot of things that you can do. And I made a comparison, it's like with a soccer team. Huh? You can build a stadium, you can rent it out, you get the money, and that's it. I said, that's not us. We are like the biggest fan of the team. We are going to be sitting there every week in the stadium. We are going to be part of that game. And in the second phase, we even said we don't want to be a supporter of the team. We are going to be sitting on the bench, and we are going to not play the game. That's for all the stakeholders, but that's the involvement we want to do. We want to be partners in the process. If you have an issue at the airport, you can come and talk to us. And we will never do it on an individual basis. We will always look at the ecosystem. And our job as an airport is you fight for your slice of the cake. We will grow the cake. And we will make it a nice fruitcake.
Correct.
That's our job.
Correct.
And I think if you understand that, and that's how you build trust with your stakeholders, that you can do an awful lot of things. Second big difference is, as an airport, you automatically have a long-term perspective. Any investment you do, anything you do is 10, 20, 30 years forward thinking. Most of your stakeholders, they have like a monthly budget. They have this month's results, even sometimes today's results. So they are so short-term thinking, while everything we did was long-term thinking. And I think if that's something we can balance, that collaboration, that kind of short-term versus long-term, if you play a role in that, that's where I think as an airport you can make a difference, and you can create a community and partners that can thrive based on the environment you create as an airport. That was the whole philosophy and the idea.
But this has been taken up very seriously by many countries. Building strong cargo-driven airports, cargo-focused airports has not only been a political motivator, but it has also been a very important strategy in terms of growing, rather than just passenger traffic, growing the cargo traffic. You've traveled the world. You've seen so many of the airports. Which do you think are deploying the best strategies when it comes to, let's say the next 10 years, okay, which airports do you think are having the best strategy, the best philosophy, the best infrastructure outlook for the next 10 years to come? Before that, Johan, if you can click some pictures during we talk. If you can click some pictures when we talk.
Okay. Just not sit there and be pretty. This is an interesting question. I think there's a few things that we should look at first. Certain airports are really competing because they are in the same catchment area, while other airports have a bit more of a monopolistic relationship because they are the national airports, and they build their volumes on the trade that's happening with the country. So I think that for some Asian airports, it's a complete different game than for some European airports, or for some Chinese airports that have an awful lot of gateways. I still think there is a lot of airports interested in doing cargo, and I still think there is an awful lot, luckily for me, because that's where my business comes from, a lot of airports that are struggling to define that interest on cargo.
Okay.
Because if they do passenger business, often they copy what they do on the passenger side, on the cargo side. But with all due respect, cargo is a complete different business.
Right.
Cargo is about logistics.
Correct.
95% of what you do as an airport on cargo is outside the fence, while on the passenger side, everything is inside the fence.
Correct.
So if you as an airport do passenger and you just copy paste your mentality, your behavior on the cargo side, it's
That's not
going to work. It's not going to work. You need much more partnership. You need much more. On the passenger side, as an airport, you need to take strong control to make it happen. On the cargo side, as an airport, you almost have to stay out and make sure that they can do the business and enable them. So it's a complete different approach. Airports struggle with that.
Right.
Luckily, not all of them. I think that Europe is really doing well because also of the competition, but I think there's really a lot of airports doing a good job and doing it for quite some time already. Liège, Budapest.
Liège has been coming up really well.
Budapest. Two different types of airports, but they show that as an airport you do have influence, that you can, but that also that it's a long-term thing. It's not something that you can do in 3 years.
Correct.
It's very interesting to see what's happening in Saudi with a lot of new airports.
Oh yes,
and that's also going to be challenging.
They're going all guns blazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And but at the same time, you also see that Dubai is also not sitting still with the new airport that is being built.
Correct.
So I think there's many airports that are doing a lot of things. But before you start looking at infrastructure, I still think that the most important one is the airports that understand air cargo. They are doing the right things. I think it's the airports that did not make their homework properly and define their role. That often they do the wrong things with good intentions, but with the wrong results. And I think that is the first and the most important step is that are you willing to understand cargo and think cargo? And I've always said I think the smartest thing that my previous CEO at Brussels Airport did is that he said, let's hire somebody from cargo and not necessarily with an airport background to better understand what's happening outside.
Yeah, as they say, if you don't understand what is the problem, the reality, or the ground reality from the person who is going to bring the cargo to your airport, if you don't understand their pain points, how would you design a strategy in order to make the seamless experience for them? Correct?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting, but during your time at Brussels, why I'm focusing on that part is because you had a very significant portion of your career at the Brussels airport. I'm sure you had many challenges, but do you remember that one challenge which you saw and you were like, oh shit, how I'm going to come out of this? And then you had to deploy a very unique strategy and that would become like one feather in your hat, kind of a thing. I know it's a few years back, but
but I think that
some incident, something which,
but those are probably often the easy ones because if it's an incident, sometimes it is one thing you need to do to fix things, to solve things. That's the easy thing. I think that the complexity comes in the variety of things coming together. And if you're the enabler, very often the biggest challenge is that you can't solve the problem directly. You need companies to help. If you have a problem with a handling agent and the airline comes and complains to you, I can't take over the handling operation. So you need to, if there's something with, so you're always like
licensing between the two stakeholders.
Maybe? You're trying to facilitate, you're trying to bring them together, but you still need to do that without taking control. So my biggest frustration was sometimes the fact that I want to do it quicker, faster, direct, and you can't. So sometimes you feel a bit like powerless in things to solve. I think that was the biggest challenge. If you ask me, looking back at Brussels Airport, what are you most proud of, and what will you remember? That's three things for me. One is, I think we really managed to create a strong branding as a pharma hub on a global scale. that really paid off, and I think a lot of companies benefited from it. Also, the airport benefited from it, and I think that is absolutely for me a really important achievement.
Right.
The second one that I'm really, really proud of is we created Air Cargo Belgium, which is a community association, grouping all the stakeholders and basically working together on a more operational side, but also more to get away from incident-driven,
Yes.
within proactive approaches. How can we set up procedures and processes and infrastructure to avoid things going wrong, but jointly together? And a third one for me was the whole BRUcloud, which is a digital platform. Because if we start working together as companies, how can we also do it more digitally? Not within the fence of your companies, but on a community level. How can we get the waste out of the processes between the different companies? The fact that I'm having the logo of BRUcloud tattooed on my arm shows that is one of my passions that I carry with me. Yeah.
So that's the technology side
of BRUcloud, the technology platform.
What was that? Can we just focus a little more on that?
So when we started working on the strategy and everybody was complaining about the car.
So what can you rename that? What was this tech part which you bought in?
Yeah. When we were discussing strategy with all the stakeholders, everybody was complaining in the sense that margins are low, volumes are under pressure. And at the same time, we had these companies making good money, growing, having control of everything, which was the integrators. What is one of the strengths of the integrators is that they look at the value chain. If they have a problem in their process, they will fix it. In the very fragmented industry that we were, is that if you have an issue at some level, we start squeezing that company even harder in our own benefit. So what we have said is, if we really want to make a difference, we do need to start thinking as an integrator. That means we need to collaborate, hence the Air Cargo Belgium, and we need to integrate our digital process, hence the BRUcloud thing. And the idea is always, I cannot force companies to use one single system, because all these companies have their own system discussed on a global scale. Our idea was, how can we integrate systems and do things that you can never do on your own, on a community level. For example, how can we reduce waiting times for trucks? How can we come up with a slot booking system together? How can we build a customs application? Because now every company has to do it individually or can't do it. But why can't we use the data elements, put them in a cloud, and then we can build applications for customs, for other ones, built on those elements. That was the philosophy and the idea behind it. And it's working.
And have you taken this tool or tech to other airports as well?
Yeah. So as an airport, and I'm a strong believer in that one, you don't do this yourself. In a sense that an airport is known for its bureaucracy, an airport is known for its legacy, for its processes. If you want to start this kind of very innovative processes and projects, I don't think an airport is the best environment to do this. So we worked with an external company to develop it. And they started developing it. And we met with them by coincidence. They had a data sharing platform. They were doing certain things. And they have now also been expanding. So it's Nalian, the company. That company has been expanding the concept and the product to other airports, but also to certain stakeholders in that whole community. And for me, this is a really good example where a lot of airports struggle, like, should we do it? Should we manage it? What's our role in it? How do we need to pay for it? Do we make money out of it? Airports are not very much known. On the passenger side, it's easy. You can easily calculate, I have so many passengers, that's what they will spend, that's the money I'm making. If you talk about cargo, an airport is more a business developer. You need to do investments for the long term, and you might need to do investments on the right side to make money on the left side. There is very often not a direct correlation between what you do, and that's completely different on the passenger side. If you build a shop in a terminal, you know exactly what it's going to bring you. You have the regulated charges. There is less business risk than what you do on the cargo side. And I think that's a struggle for a lot of airports to still understand, like, and then we come back to the role, is what do I do? What's my role? Where do I invest? Where do I enable? Where do I control? Where do I own? because it's something that is in the DNA of an airport. And if you really want to know which airports make that difference, those are the ones that are also doing the good things on cargo. Then you come to airports like Miami, like Dallas, but like Budapest, like Liège, and several other ones as well.
So that brings me to an interesting question. I'm sure, I am also very intrigued to know about this because I've never seen that side of the industry. You've been in that side of the industry. So let's focus on the cargo side. Passenger, we all know, we just spoke. If you have a duty-free shop, you have the rental coming in, you have some cut from the products which is being sold and all of those things. But on the cargo side, how does the income statement or the P&L looks like? What is the revenue side? I mean, what are the components which brings in the revenue? But before that, what are the elements which are your cost?
Yeah,
I know, and it's a very I know it's a very deep dive into this, but I'm sure I would love to know this.
No, and it's a really good question because I think this is the number one problem. Because of the complexity, if you can't show your shareholders the money you make, you can also not get the budget to do things.
Absolutely.
And cargo is often not a dedicated product and a dedicated P&L. First step is even, what is the shareholder expecting? What is the role cargo does? Is it create jobs? Are you a government airport and is that the main goal?
Yes.
Are you creating volumes to support long-haul business in the bellies? Are you doing cargo to make money on cargo and you want to do so? I think defining what people expect, what your shareholder expects from you, that's the first step. Oh. And that can be completely different from one airport to another. If you're a private shareholder-owned airport, it's probably about money. If you are a government airport in a developing region, probably it's creating jobs. So I think the KPI is important and that needs to be defined well. We always, Liège always said to me is, we are bigger than Brussels. Yeah, and we make more money than you do. Right. And both our shareholders are happy because my shareholder doesn't want me to be the biggest. Right. They want me to make most money. Right. And we always compare and we look at the size of the airport to see the success of an airport. Right. But that's not necessarily linked to each other. So I think we have to be a bit more specific on judging if an airport is successful or not. And that can be from the outside not the case, but internally it can be the case. Yeah. Then you have to look at all the different elements in a sense that how are you going to create a P&L? And I think a lot of cargo carriers or belly carriers have the same. How do you contribute or calculate the contribution of cargo on your passenger flights? Are you renting out the belly space and they have to pay the cost? Is it that they just see the revenue and you see the evolution? You need to make some decisions on how you can do it. Are you going to say the runway cargo has to play part of it, or are you going to say no, we have the runway anyway, so we are not going to do it? And are we only going to link the dedicated, very specific costs of cargo to cargo, and the rest is more like we have it anyway? Do we see cargo as a cherry on the cake, or should it be paying also for the cake? Correct. And I think those are all different potential criteria, but all are linked back to what is a shareholder expecting. Right.
Your vision has to match. Yes, your vision first has to be created. Yes. Then your smaller strategies, smaller goals could be created.
Yes. And once you know that, then you can start looking at different things. So for us, as cargo in Brussels, we had two main criteria. One is support the belly of the long-haul flights. Secondly, make money because of the real estate on cargo. Those were the two goals we had. And then from there on, you start building your strategy and you start also building your KPIs so that you can show progress to your senior management. Are we delivering? Are we indeed having the volumes to those key routes that support the long-haul flights? And are we indeed increasing our rental revenues? And what we also did is create a whole strategy showing that all the things that we are doing, how they in the end are going to lead to more warehouses. Correct. Because I was not building warehouses. No, we were investing in a pharma branding. We were coming to conferences. Correct. And we were investing in those basic things that in the end would lead to more rental. And that was sometimes very confusing because real estate would say, no, this is our product. We will build. Correct. But what are you going to build? I mean, we will take care of the business. We'll be asking for space, for constructions, and then we can build. So chicken and the egg story, what was first? And real estate said, no, we were first. They said, no, we are first. And in the end, you start working together, and then you need to deliver. And that was a specific case for Brussels, but I don't think that it necessarily goes for every airport. It's about copy paste. I think they need to make their individual story,
Of course,
about what is important for us and what do we want to get as a result.
But then I also feel, isn't there must be always a fight? And this is coming in from a person who doesn't understand this too much. But you have a lot of budget airlines coming up, right? You have limited slots. Okay, you can just do an X number of landings and takeoffs in a day. Now, I'm sure the argument is, okay, you want more passengers, but you want more cargo as well. But these passenger flights are more narrow body, so your cargo is not being supported through those narrow bodies. You want more freighters. Is there a friction when you have to take such decisions between the passenger side and the cargo side? Because I'm sure you would want, let's say, an Atlas Air coming in, a big freighter, which supports your cargo dream. But then you have to also give slots to, let's say, a Ryanair or an EasyJet or Wizz Air or all these budget airlines which want more and more slots. But then, of course, you only have an X number of slots, right? So who does that? I'm very intrigued to know who does that calculation. You guys sit together and make up.
Very often, okay, you have the bilaterals, that's one thing. Then you have the slots in a lot of places. Slots are managed and controlled by separate entities and organizations, not even with the airport. Like in Europe, some places it is the airport.
Right.
I think the question is, again, what is your strategy? If you see, for example, there's a lot of airports that make more money from passengers than cargo. If you ever come to a situation where you have to choose, probably an airport will choose for the passenger side, because that makes more money and that's their main goal. And
that's also promoting tourism as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's also a lot of airports who specialize in cargo and they don't have that problem. I think that it's again important that it's not because you have that friction, and it's not because like for example in Brussels we were struggling that because of a curfew and some restrictions it was more challenging to attract cargo airlines. But at the same time, we had all these belly carriers, which really helped us to develop the pharma business, because that helped us in having a more broader direct network than if you only have the freighter options. I think that once you know your story, then focus on the strengths and how to develop it, and don't get lost in the things you can't do. Because everybody has things that is not perfect for your airport.
Obviously.
So you can start complaining and say, we can't do this, we can't do that. No, what can you do? And start developing them. And there's always a business case. And you will have to accept some losses. That's life. But there is always opportunities and potential.
And what's happening on the Asia side? Because we spoke a lot about Europe. What's happening on the Southeast Asia side? Do you have any idea what's happening on the cargo strategy side when it comes to Asia?
But I think it's not changing that much from all the rest, in a sense that it's growing, it's developing. Asia is probably growing stronger than Europe and the US, because it's much more still developing. You have an awful lot of wide bodies coming in. You have so many new airports opening up. Sometimes forget the amount of airports that are happening and growing in China. So there is not. I think the biggest problem we see for everybody, I think, is more the geopolitical situation and the quick changing. Like I said, airports have this really long-term perspective, but now everybody in the market is so short-term. So that is something that is not easy, not helping us. But I think there is huge developments in a lot of Asian and Southeast Asian countries. You also see more and more governments and privately owned or semi-privately owned airports doing investments and creating competition. It's
interesting. Let's now come to your another passion, which was TIACA. Let's talk more about that. Could you explain what and how did TIACA come into being, and then how your last 6 years have been in TIACA? What's the vision and mission of TIACA, and how were your last 6 years within that organization, your contribution?
Yeah. Again, never a plan or never a choice. About 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, when I was at Brussels Airport, I went to TIACA, Warren Jones at that time, basically canceling my membership. Because I didn't feel that TIACA was delivering value. And Warren said to me, he said, Steven, I fully agree with you and we are trying to change this. Why don't you join the board and help us change it? I said, yeah, why not? If you give me a challenge, I'm easy to convince. So after 1 year within the board, I didn't feel like we were making the necessary progress and all these kind of things. So at that time, Sebastian Schulte, he was the vice chair and he was going to be the next chair. So I told him and I said, look, I've done it now 1 year and I'm sorry, I'm going to leave the board and I'm also going to quit TIACA because I don't think it's going to happen. And then he said to me, Steven, I really support you. I have the same ideas. I'm going to be the next chair. Why don't you join me as vice chair? And I said, perfect, let's do that. And suddenly I was vice chair and we started that process of change, taking a lot of time. Still not always that happy. And so I also spoke to him and Sebastian, and suddenly he said to me, Steven, be prepared because I'm changing jobs and I have to step down. So you're going to be chair suddenly. So before I knew, I was suddenly chair, and then COVID happened. It was like, and for us, it created the perfect opportunity again to really stop about everything. I said, guys, we are not going to change slowly and die slowly. It's time to really make a big change. Who we are, what do we do? Because what is the strength of TIACA? We bring together the whole value chain of air cargo.
Yes.
What's our weakness? We bring together the whole value chain of air cargo. So you have a different face in a sense that if you represent the airlines, if you represent airports, or if you represent companies in a certain region, you can be against people, you can fight for people. We have a very positive message. We unite the industry and we try to do the best for everybody. And sometimes I made a comparison, it's like we are like paying taxes. Nobody likes to pay taxes, but if these taxes are then spent well, you get indirect a lot of benefits from it. I think that's what TIACA is doing. It is finding that balance between having direct benefits for members, but also finding members who do see that bigger picture and who are willing to invest in it, and also the longer term positive benefits for the industry. And that's what we have been trying to do is really making it more performant, very agile, strong people, financially healthy, building and starting delivering on products, and especially focusing on those topics that everybody speaks about, but that nobody is really doing because of the complexity, because it needs collaboration. And again, that's the hard part of it, because that also is the most difficult one. But I still believe that in the long run, that's where we can make the difference. How can we work on digitization, on sustainability, things like e-commerce and the collaboration needed. We also made sure that we have a really representative board. That means every region in the world should be represented in the board, and you can't have too many people from one region. Every vertical needs to be represented, so you can't have 7 airports in the board. So just making sure that this board is really
a diverse set of people,
the industry, that was one of the starting points. So we really made some really strong bylaws, good bylaws on how we want to work, what to do, so that we could make a fresh start and really basically said, if we had to start from scratch, how would we do this? And let's try to change it. And that was sometimes difficult, but we had a really good board at that time, open and willing to discuss and change it, and taking that risk. And it worked out well.
So now I know, Steven, you are the guy who loves challenges.
Unfortunately,
no, don't say unfortunately.
No, but it is because it's. I have a passion for this industry, and I am also somebody who or I like what I do, or I don't like it, and if I don't like it, I can't do it. I really get the energy from that passion, and from the challenge.
You are a guy if there is no challenge, you would be like, I am bored.
Oh,
You need something or the other to just keep on to push you.
yeah. Absolutely. If it gets too bored, I'll start making problems to
Right.
solve them. Yeah, I agree.
But then, okay, now let me try to throw some curveball questions to you.
Please.
What would a 25-year-old Steven do if Brussels wouldn't have happened, if air cargo wouldn't have happened? What do you think? What would be an alternative journey of yourself?
I would be a regional manager for a very fancy hotel chain in a very nice location of the world with some nice resorts and nice weather
Nice.
and people enjoying their holidays and
Right.
something like that. Yeah, pretty sure.
Which is your favorite hotel brand? Because there are like 5 top ones in the world. Which one do you always prefer? Where is your loyalty status? The gold or the platinum?
Yeah. Very pragmatic. That's the Marriott group. But the only reason is they have the most hotels.
Yeah.
So if you stay somewhere, there's the most choice and the easiest to find something in the location. So it's a very pragmatic approach. It's not necessarily that I like the hotels best and most, but that's how it works.
I too like Marriott because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And you get the best service every single time. It's a standardized approach, and they've built some good acquisitions. Starwood happened for Marriott Group, and they have become too big now.
Yeah, but again, like I said, for me, it's you're traveling and you go on the app and you need to find a hotel. You never are far away with a Marriott hotel from where you need to be. So it's convenience.
Right. But with all this responsibilities and work, how do you balance your work and personal life? I'm sure it's a tough balance to make it happen, right?
I really suck in it.
Sorry?
I really suck in it. There is no polite way to say it. It's my challenge.
Yeah.
And I've always said, and probably that have helped me, but not necessarily my environment. I don't like the word work-life balance. I always talk about work-life integration because work is an integral part of my life, and my life is an integral part of my work. It goes together.
Correct.
And I can't separate them. But it also means that you often don't do justice to the people around you because I can manage that integration.
Right.
It's not always easy for people around you. I'm learning, and I think that people also start accepting that it's a bit who I am.
Yeah.
But it also means that I've learned that you do need to make sure that at certain moments you indeed also deliver at home what you want to deliver in your work relationship. Right. But I really, it is. And I admire people who can do that, who can switch off and really manage that. I can't
do that either.
If I'm a happy person at work, I'm a happy person at home, and vice versa.
See, what I feel is if you're passionate about something, that becomes a very integral part of your life. And I also don't believe in this whole work-life balance. Is it that once you're home at 6 p.m., you're gonna switch off your phone, switch off your laptops, and just, there are people who do that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate them. But I am not a person who can do that. You know, you just can't come out of something and you just can't go into something. You're either in it 100% or you're not. It's as simple as that. But what would someone find you do on a lazy Sunday where you are intended to do something which you love? What would that thing be?
If there is one thing that I regret is that because of my lifestyle, traveling a lot, working, living abroad, I never really developed a hobbies.
Yeah.
And I'm also very impatient. So if I would start playing golf, if I'm not beating everybody in the first 2 courses, I go for the next thing.
Right.
I get bored.
Right.
So that is a problem. I dare to say that until recently, you would not find me on a Sunday afternoon doing something different than working.
Really?
Oh yeah, I really worked far too much. Or I was spending time with the family. We were doing things together,
of course.
but not that much. Only me time. That's why I love to fly. Because when I'm flying, I'm sitting 8 hours in an aircraft. That's me time.
Correct.
That's where I can really relax and really enjoy.
Read a book, watch some TV series or something like that. Yeah.
So what will you find me do? I have no idea. That can be
replying to emails
all the time.
Guilty as charged, huh?
Guilty as charged, yeah. But that can be like watching movies, reading a book. I still love everything to do with cooking and eating.
Right.
I love to drink a good glass of wine. And I'm not an expert in everything, but very strange thing. I love to go grocery shopping.
Oh,
whenever
nice.
I'm traveling as well, I love to go in grocery shops and just walk around and see. So like on a Saturday morning when it's really too busy and nobody wants to go, I love to go grocery shopping with all the people, and I completely get relaxed in it.
Yeah.
When everybody is stressed, like on a Christmas evening when it's hot, I love to go grocery shopping and look around and buy. I always come back home with far too many things
which are not
on my list because I want to try this and I want to see. It's almost for me entertainment and fun.
You know, I also, whenever I'm traveling, I always try to visit a local grocery store. My reason to do that is because when you're there, you can observe people and learn a lot about that community as well. What are the prices of different things? What are the things which are working in this country, which are not? Are people more in the meat section or in the vegetable section, or how often? So for me, it's become kind of a game where I would try and go to every country's grocery store and see and just observe maybe for the 15-20 minutes what exactly is happening there, because you learn a lot.
True.
You learn a lot when you go to these stores and what is exactly happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's try to wrap it up. Of course, it's been a great to have you on LogiTALK, but I am sure you're seeing a lot of young people now come in this industry at any given part of the industry. It could be as a freight forwarder, it could be in cargo, it could be within the airport, it could be anything. What would that one, no one likes advices now, so I'm not going to say advice. What would that one thought you would like to share, one or many, I'll leave it up to you, to a person who is just trying to get into logistics. Let's keep it broad.
Yeah.
Someone trying to get into logistics.
Yeah. I'm not gonna give you a short, easy answer on that one.
Okay.
First of all, there is not such a thing as our industry. And I think that's one of the challenges. I hate it when people say, we need to attract more women in the industry. We need to attract more young people in the industry. I don't think that is a responsibility of the industry. I think that's a responsibility of us, people working in this business, managing companies.
Correct.
I've never had problems in finding young people or finding them. If you struggle to find people, maybe it's because of your company, maybe your management style, maybe it's because of the region where you're active in.
Correct.
And maybe it's because of the vertical you're active in, but we cannot talk about our industry, because are you talking about ramp handling people in Europe, or are you talking about finance people in India, or ITers in China? How can we talk about young people in our industry?
True. Yeah.
So I think we as management have huge responsibilities in creating opportunities for the next generation. What I would say to the young people is that, and there's this nice expression, if you have a good boss that gives you opportunities and chances, stay.
Yeah.
If you have a boss that is not creating opportunities for you, leave. Then go somewhere else.
Yeah.
A boss gets the people he deserves,
Yeah.
and I think that people should also make sure that they get the boss they deserve.
Yeah, very true.
And there's so many opportunities. Don't quit immediately.
Yeah.
Try to work for it. But if you feel it's not working, go for it. There are so many opportunities in this industry. I said that myself now. The industry. And enjoy, have fun. Think out of the box, do things. I think going back myself, this is still an industry where you can make a difference.
Yeah.
Where things happen and can happen that are not that easy in other places of the business. But at the same time, we also have big companies that are very structured and very regulated, where what I'm now saying is absolutely not valid. Find your way.
Yeah. As they say.
And don't make a plan.
Yeah.
If I think, no, it doesn't work, just be open to opportunities.
Yeah. Be more fluid.
Be more fluid. Because there's always things happening, and it's only when you stop and you look around that you suddenly will see that there is not just a corridor, but that you're in a room full of doors, and that you can check on them as well.
Quite rightly put. But hey, Stephen, it was great having you. We got a lot of insights from you.
Thanks.
I learned about air cargo so much. I'm sure, the whole purpose of LogiTALK is anyone and everyone who are listening to this, they know you first of all, because you've done so well in this industry. Let's not call it industry, sorry.
No, sometimes we can call it industry.
But there are such amazing stories like yours, which are not, because it's a niche industry, any which way.
Yeah.
So the whole purpose of LogiTALK was to make sure that such great stories are put out there, and whoever is listening to it gets some good takeaway, gets something to learn. Podcasts are all about that, If I hear something, I am sure I'm learning at least 5 different things. I'm knowing the person more.
Yeah.
So that's what the aim is. And thank you for being part of LogiTALK.
It was a pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me.
Woo.
One of the fun things is that when I got my first young person I put her immediately on stage. Talk, because you've got such an interesting story, and she was really good. So a lot of people came to me and they said, "You're so stupid," because people will see her, they will steal her, they will give her a job offer. And I said, no, because if I keep her in the office, she will leave anyway.
Yeah.
She knows that I'm giving her opportunities and chances that other companies will not do. And she was on stage, and the moderator knew me, and he was trying to play a game with her. And he said, you must have a hard life because you need to have Stephen as a boss. And she said, no, Stephen is not my boss. And he said, but I thought you were reporting to him. Yeah, I'm reporting to him, but Stephen is my mentor, not my boss. Whoa. Biggest compliment I ever got. And he was also like, wow, that's nice. I think that's the fun thing. Yeah. I got so much from this industry. Yeah. I like to give back.
Yeah.
Because, and again, it's also like you said, this work-life balance. I can't invoice a lot of things that I'm doing, but I still feel I get rewarded for it sooner or later.
Yeah, of
course. I'm okay with that. We have to stop Jonas there, so he's going to mess up again. So, but thanks a lot. It was really fun talking.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here.